I will say that since Field Marshal Munir welcomed us with the Prime Minister in Islamabad, I have joked that I have two very, very important people in my life, an Indian and a Pakistani. The Indian is my wife, and the Pakistani is Field Marshal Munir. And I've probably talked to Field Marshal Munir more than I've talked to anybody else over the last 3 months.
That was US Vice President J.D. Vance. A joke, a throwaway line, a moment that was meant to signal warmth during the Iran-US peace talks in Switzerland. Instead, it triggered a political storm, not in Pakistan, not in India, but in the United States itself. Trump supporters, MAGA influencers, conservative commentators, many were furious. How could the Vice President of the United States be publicly praising Pakistan's army chief, they asked. The same Pakistani military establishment that has spent decades being accused of supporting extremists, sheltering terrorists, playing a double game with Washington. But here's the thing, J.D. Vance is not the first American leader to fall for Pakistan. And unless history changes dramatically, he probably won't be the last. Because for nearly 8 decades, Washington has had a habit of backing strongmen, military rulers and dictators whenever it believed they served American interests. There is even a famous phrase often attributed to President Franklin Roosevelt. He may be an SOB, but he's our SOB. And that brings us to the real question. Why does America keep trusting Pakistan? And why does Pakistan keep disappointing America? The relationship between the United States and Pakistan has always been somewhat strange. America calls itself the world's leading democracy. Pakistan has spent much of its existence under military influence. Yet, Washington repeatedly finds itself drawn towards Rawalpindi. Why? Because geography is a powerful thing. During the Cold War, Pakistan offered America a strategic foothold against the Soviet Union. During the anti-Soviet jihad in Afghanistan in the 1980s, Pakistan became America's frontline ally. Billions of dollars flowed in, weapons and training flowed in. Military cooperation flourished. To Washington, Pakistan looked useful. To Pakistan's military establishment, America looked profitable. The partnership seemed perfect, except it wasn't. Because even while taking American money, Pakistan was often pursuing its own agenda. And that agenda did not always align with Washington's agenda. The biggest example came after 9/11, when Al-Qaeda attacked the United States in 2001. Washington launched the global war on terror. Pakistan was suddenly transformed into a major non-NATO ally. The Bush administration poured billions into Pakistan. Military aid increased, intelligence cooperation increased. The expectation was simple, that Pakistan would help destroy the Taliban. Instead, many American officials would later accuse Pakistan of doing something very different. Publicly, Pakistan supported the US mission. Privately, elements within its security establishment were accused of maintaining ties with Taliban networks. American soldiers were fighting Taliban militants in Afghanistan. At the same time, Washington increasingly suspected that parts of Pakistan were helping those very militants survive. Imagine funding a war and then discovering that your ally, your main ally, may also be helping the enemy. That is why many former US commanders later described Pakistan as both a partner and a problem. Then came the moment that changed everything, or at least should have changed everything. May 2011. A team of American Navy SEALs quietly entered Pakistan. Their target, Osama bin Laden, the mastermind of 9/11, the most wanted terrorist on earth. And where did they find him? Not in a cave, not in some remote mountain hideout, but in Abbottabad, a garrison town, a city known for Pakistan's military presence, just a short distance from Pakistan's premier military academy. The question instantly exploded across Washington. How did the world's most wanted terrorist live there for years? Was Pakistan unaware, or was everybody, looking the other way? Even today, that question continues to haunt the US-Pakistan relations. Because for many Americans, abbottabad became the ultimate symbol of betrayal. The frustrations did not begin with bin Laden, though. Nearly a decade earlier, American journalist Daniel Pearl traveled to Pakistan while investigating extremist networks. He was kidnapped, later murdered. The brutality shocked the world. The case became a symbol of the dangerous ecosystem of extremism that had taken root in parts of Pakistan. Yet, despite repeated incidents involving terrorism, militancy, and radical groups, Washington rarely imposed the kind of pressure many critics believed was necessary. The strategic relationship always seemed to survive, even when trust did not. And then there is the nuclear story, one of the most controversial chapters in Pakistan's history, the AQ Khan network. Over the years, evidence emerged that Pakistan's nuclear proliferation network had transferred sensitive technology to countries, including North Korea. For Washington, this was a nightmare scenario. North Korea was already one of America's biggest adversaries. Yet a network linked to Pakistan had allegedly helped Pyongyang advance its nuclear ambitions. The scandal exploded globally. But once again, Pakistan remained too strategically important for Washington to completely abandon. The relationship bent, it never broke. So if history is filled with disappointments, why does America keep returning to Pakistan? The answer is brutally simple. Geography. Afghanistan, China, Iran, counter-terror, nuclear weapons. Every US administration eventually perhaps reaches the same conclusion. Pakistan is too important to ignore. And so Washington convinces itself that this time will be different. This time the generals will cooperate. This time the partnership will work. This time Pakistan's interests will align with America's. Well, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But the cycle continues. Which is why J.D. Vance's remarks have many in America bristling. Not because of one joke, not because of one meeting, but because they signal something far larger, a familiar pattern, another chapter in America's long-running belief that Pakistan can be a reliable strategic partner. Maybe Washington is right. Maybe Pakistan has changed. Or maybe history is just about to repeat itself once again. Because if there's one lesson from the last 40 years, it is this. No country has tested America's strategic patience quite like Pakistan. And yet, no country seems to get as many second chances from Washington. The question is not whether America trusts Pakistan. History tells us that it does. The real question is whether America has learned anything from the last time. This is Times Axis, where global stories meet India's perspective. Click on the bell icon to subscribe because the next big global shift will have India at its center.